Hello friends, and welcome to tonight's beer review, which I'm calling the Post-Carmageddon review because I got stuck in Carmageddon yesterday. Basically, a perfect storm of traffic happened in Honolulu. People were taking hours to get home on drives that usually only last about half an hour. So, anyways, beer we'll be reviewing tonight is Goose IPA. This is from Goose Island Brewery in Chicago, now owned by Anheuser-Busch, but still brewing great beer. I don't care that they're owned by Anheuser-Busch. As long as they keep on brewing great beer, I'm going to keep on drinking them. So this is notable because it is essentially they tried to brew it more towards the English IPA style. They used American ingredients, but I think they got a little bit closer. So what's the difference in between an English IPA and American style IPA? American style IPA generally uses American hops, which have a very strong citrus feel. The hopping is much more intense. Whereas English IPA, hops are generally Old World, or are selected to have a more of an Old World style feel to them, and there is much more balance in between the malt body and the hopping. So this is 5.9 ABV. And I believe about, let's see here, how many? 55 IBU. So, let's see here, and do we have anything in here? So it's won some medals for English style India Pale Ale. That said, I find it kind of more of a hybrid rather than a true English style, and that's just because they're using American style hops. You just can't really get around that. It's probably a wee bit too warm. I was having video problems. Nice orange-yellow color, well carbonated, a good finger and a half's worth of thick, fluffy head, slightly yellowish off-white, a lovely, nice crackery smell with very floral hops with sort of a citric tone underneath it, but floral is the essence. So hops are intense and hops do dominate the nose here, but strongly floral as opposed to piney or juicy. I love the taste of this. One thing I find about English style IPAs is that malts tend to stay part of the tasting profile from start to finish. They play pretty much an equal show to the hops. This does it in this style, and this does it in this beer. The tastes are not super distinct, but what's there is pretty good. So I'm just trying to suss it out right now. You get a sort of bitterness that's a kind of zesty. So a sort of orange zest bitterness in the front, with a sort of crackery, maybe sweet, crackery, yeah, crackery. Crackery malts that suddenly get a very honey note as it goes to the mid palate, and then descent. My boy, I'm really tongue tied today. Call it tiredness. Descends into just a sort of ghost of sweetness that lingers on into the finish. The hops give off a nice effervescent floral note throughout the entire experience. The finish does have that sort of pine resin to it. There is a bit of juiciness in the mid palate, which I would find it's a bit more akin to American style than English, but you know, they're trying for English style using American style ingredients, so I think they're hitting the mark pretty darn closely. In that, if the English one, you're not really trying for big booming flavors that reach out and slap you in the tongue. You can have several of these. You're not going to get palate fatigue from drinking a lot of this. While at the same time, it's not really... so it's not a flavor bomb, but it is distinctly India Pale Ale. Hopping provides heavy hopped, also heavily, you know, fairly heavily malted. One thing about it, it's nice and refreshing too. That could be also because I'm really thirsty right now. We have very nice lacing. Take a look at this lacing. It's maybe almost like a graham crackery sort of note to the malts there, where you get that cracker in the front and then it gets sweet. Honeyed sweetness. Malting, which is reminiscent of the old world style. Just a touch of pine there to let you know that they're using New World hops. I could definitely drink this all day long. It's really quite good. So, in summation, Goose IPA, or as some people know it, before they changed the label, it was just Goose India Pale Ale. I would have to say that this is a great beer. Excuse me. I would have to say that this is a great beer to introduce people to the India Pale Ale style. Why? Because it's not a complete hop bomb. It is not going to wilt their palate under a heavy bombardment of hops. It's going to give them a nice sweetness to cling onto, but also this sort of novel bitterness that hopefully they'll grow accustomed to. So, I know some of you want to say, well, Anheuser-Busch, they belong to the Satan now. Don't give a shit. As long as they brew great beer, I'm going to keep on buying Goose Island. I really want to buy their Kolsch and their bitter. So, that's your beer review for tonight. Ugh. Boy, that's your tongue-twisted beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers.